Welcome to another episode of the Contractors Innovation Podcast and News. Today we're hoping to feature FeBTU cell fan powered. I think I did send that link to Dante. Did you get a couple files for me?
Yep, I got them.
Can you just share them and
Sure.
I can explain to Chad and Brian exactly what's going on there.
Great.
How's everybody doing today? All right?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. All right.
Okay, so this is a quote I got from Canyon Air, which is New York Blower these days. And this is a 2000 CFM, what's called a compact GI. I designed it for stainless. And the idea would be that, did you have the earlier sketches, Brian? Were you able to find the earlier sketches from the podcast we did before?
No, these are the
just
ones
what
that
we
you sent
see.
me recently.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was one we did before with Andrea.
Okay. Let me see.
Is
Andrea, what are you doing? Can you jump on the podcast?
I go from like maybe 15 minutes.
Well, do it for 15, even if you're driving.
I'm not driving. I have to submit something, but I'll go on for 15.
Okay.
Thanks.
so what are we looking at here right now? Is that little round thing? Is that where the
So
blower
this
is?
this is the fan I picked. There should be another quote with. Is there another piece of paper, or was that it? The actual
like-
quote, I guess.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
The
Okay,
commercial
the quote.
document.
Yep. This one here. Oops. Sorry about this. It's not sharing. This one here, correct?
Yeah.
Is this the right one, Martin? Right here?
Yeah. So that's the quote. Now,
Okay.
this is based on it being stainless. Like I think in the environment we're talking about, and we did do an earlier podcast, by the way, on the fan power. There was two drawings. Andrea and I were talking about it. They were hand sketches. I gave them to Jed, and Jed was supposed to join us on the podcast, so he could try to
So-
understand. Go ahead.
So all this info that you're showing here, is that all stuff that you want the public to know, like how much this is worth, or are your competitors going to take a look at this and say, "Oh, now we got a number to go by"? What's all this stuff?
Well, it's patented, so they can't do anything about it. I don't really have any fear about that. The I think what we wanted to do was, Matt James was going to be on this podcast, and all of a sudden he couldn't be, right? So that was kind of an unfortunate thing. And Jed agreed to come on it, and I'm sure I shared it with him.
So for everybody at home, what's this? What is this for? What's this?
Well,
is
this is
used for?
okay. What we thought, Andrea can maybe. You're on, Andrea?
Yeah,
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Okay, you're good at Advice for Life. I'm away from my desk right now. Can't get to your call. Leave me your name,
Oh,
your number.
there's someone
and a
on the
brief
phone
message.
or
I'll get back
something?
to you as soon as I can. Thank you.
Yeah, that's just my getting the voicemail
All right.
with Jed.
Okay.
So, Andrea, the idea
Hey,
was, why don't you talk a little bit about the two sketches we did, and in terms of, we did a podcast earlier, if you recall, Andrea.
Yeah,
Dante.
I mean, so overall on the tech that we've been doing, both on the ground side and the mechanical side and the electrical side.
Yeah, basically, you sound like a mechanical engineer that you are, but I picked this fan and I made it stainless. You remember that drawing we had from the earlier podcast? What we were going to do is have a fan at the top of the hole, turn and go down into the gravel, extend the gravel below the furnace pipe, at least down like in the annulus, so that we could create. There's a good sketch there. Where'd you get that one from?
This was
You
from
had
one
the-
of the earlier emails that you sent.
Okay, so picture that pipe in the on the FeGeo wind. That's the windmill at the top, but the annulus of gravel is shown, and we would add a pipe through the gravel, and that is the way I envisioned, Andrea, where we would be able to increase the water flow into the gravel and increase the cooling, and you know, Go ahead.
help the evaporation of the of some of the water away from the stone, especially if the humidity is low enough outside. Yeah.
you know, I told Scott from Canada, just take a static pressure at 2000 CFM, design it in stainless. And that was the pipe itself. I'm just worried about the high moisture environment, and, you know, would we bother going to steel? Right, might as well go stainless. So I asked for a stainless fan option. It's about $9,000. Now, the benefit of our geothermal is you can go large capacity, and you can put a lot of these in a day. A standard geothermal is 2.5 ton with a 300-foot hole and glycol, which is a closed system. So the difference is our system is open, and we can put with a BG34 caisson drill. Keller has quite a few of those. We can put in 5 a day. So that's a lot of 30-ton heat cool. This one here is 30-ton heat cool. And we have a COP of 5. Can you talk a little bit about the COP of 5, Andrea? Sometimes, what is that and how does it compare?
Yeah, so the COP would be like the ratio of how much heat you're able to either cool, so how much heat you're able to move. In the case of summertime, you would be moving it out of the house. In the case of wintertime, you would be taking it from the ground and putting it into the house. And it's like it's a ratio of how much heat you're moving versus how much electrical input you have to put in. So a lot of the systems, geothermal systems out nowadays, they hit, you know, 2 to 3 COP, which is quite good. But what we found with our efficiency in terms of the heat exchanger and some of this evaporative cooling benefit is that we can hit those numbers, but even a little bit higher if the conditions are right, and if we especially have that benefit of it not being overly humid in the environment. So if we go somewhere like Oregon or California, which I think could be a good expansion plan. I have some connections from a university where we did a capstone project. 10 years ago, but I still keep in touch with the profs. And the fella whose house we helped design, I'm sure he has other people nearby that could benefit, and the climate would really help, as opposed to kind of sections here where it's a little bit more humid. But even here, we can meet pretty much the same efficiency that the best heat pumps can do, at least the same water source heat pumps, but we can drill much more cheaply because it's basically a cylinder in the ground. And that's where Martin's expertise comes in, and some of the innovations he's done with how efficiently and cost effectively you can drill into the ground and place these.
So this thing not only heats and cools, but I also see you can get water. It draws water, and then you can put a wind turbine on top of it. So theoretically, can this thing power itself?
Yeah, I sometimes refer to it as the ideal off-grid device because
Yeah,
you got
Exactly.
it's the geothermal supports the windmill. So you're using the structure. Matteo Fergoni designed us a windmill, and I did a test in Godrich. I'm going to go to 2.0 more refined parts from Mateo once we sell the patents. But the water furnace, Brian, is basically pressurized. So all we'd have to do is crack it open, and it would have all the water we want because it'll make up its own water from.
And you're getting the water from the ground, basically, right? It's there already.
No, the water actually is city pressure water or well water. So it's generally a clean source of water. And unlimited. Like you could, I could take my tap or my bathtub and overflow my bath. I could just run water, right? And that's pretty typical. So the water furnace, which is to my left, actually, there's a water furnace from the test site. And so that water furnace when I first turned it on, because of the evaporative cooling of water, the duct kind of froze. Like it ended up being like noticeably cold. So evaporative cooling of water is kind of one of nature's or God's best tricks. It's 850 BTUs per pound. Andrea figured we'd need 2.5 gallons per ton per hour. Is that correct? Andrea, do you remember that?
Around that, I mean, it depends where we scale. Before we get to that, I just want to clarify one thing. We aren't pulling water from the ground. We would have to supply water, but that water, it could be gray water. It doesn't have to be, high quality. It could be salt water. It could be.
Salt would be, corrosive. I think you want to get potable water that's drinkable.
So we aren't pulling water from the ground. We have to supply it. And when Martin refers to water furnace, you could replace that with any heat pump, basically. But that's the one that he has, and it's been working quite well. But you do need a heat pump still for this to work, a water side heat pump.
Now, if you're putting this in a place where the groundwater is a lot or not, the water table is high, can you use the groundwater to cool it instead of having to pump in extra water?
There wouldn't really be that much water, Brian. You wouldn't. I would recommend no. I mean, you basically want to use potable, clean water that doesn't cause corrosion problems or has silt in it.
So you'd want to filter. You'd want to filter the water first, at least.
Well, the way your house is, right? Basically, your house, city water would be pretty typical. Mm-hmm. I happen to have well water out here, but it goes through a system and it's clean. My well is 120 feet deep, endless amount of water. So it's going to cost me nothing to run.
Because you're seeing more and more environmental builds, so that it doesn't take strain on the infrastructure already. And from what I see here, you could probably do your own off grid, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Hey, to that point, actually, Dante, can you open up my? Remember that storyboard that I had, where it's like a presentation format of the system, and if I apologize, I didn't catch your name, but whoever's on this call, we can forward you that presentation. Sorry?
Cool. Yeah, Brian. The name should be underneath our pictures, no?
Brian Kudos our added news and humor guy. He's a stand-up comedian. Nice. So we're doing a laugh and learn today. Yeah. And I hope that everyone can press the like button and subscribe when you listen to this. Share it.
Comedian with a background in construction, like ever since I was a kid, right? So a lot of this stuff, it interests me. But also to give the ordinary viewer who might not know all these terms, you know what I mean? I kind of help to explain some of this stuff.
Okay, here we go.
Exactly.
Practical questions. That Dante, I don't know if you have that file. Andre, you might need to find that file and share it.
I have it here. I found it.
I found it.
Oh, he's got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. You can find it, but I will email it also to folks.
Okay. So I will. You're talking about
Andre's a heat exchange expert. Works in the nuclear industry. So Andre,
man,
there you go.
I learn more every day, and then it's like
You go ahead. What Dante can cycle it or you can cycle it.
This is the one,
yeah,
correct?
so I mean, this kind of summarizes what we discussed. You can put a turbine on top. It's all very low usage in terms of footprint. If you put this, on a roof of a building, even, you would still have plenty of space for like a green roof, so you wouldn't be forced to cover the entire thing with solar panels, which is still a good option. But if you're on top of buildings where it's already kind of more windy, especially if they're
Very windy.
multi-explored,
Yeah.
you can do this, and you get a lot of that space back where you can walk, plant crops, whatnot. So that kind
A lot of buildings now, they're on their rooftops, they're putting gardens and grass and everything else, and they're collecting the water from there. So
yeah.
you can redirect it, filter it or whatever, and then redirect it, right?
Yeah, avoid the rain tax, by using it for the evaporative cooling instead of having to
100%.
put like the plumbing strain.
Places like Bermuda, they have to collect the rainwater because there is no groundwater. They're on an island, right? So they have to collect all the roof water and all that stuff for their own use. So stuff like this is good for more remote areas as well. And also highly dense
Exactly.
populated, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some really good ideas there. We can go to the next page. There's only about 7. One idea is to, like I said, put it on roofs. You have a bunch of wind. If you have too much, you can throttle it. Hopefully, you don't have to do that. You could also put them on the ground. And then we go to the next page. I mean, you could put it on the elevator shaft as well. You probably have more height to have a deeper heat exchanger type of system, as opposed to there where you only have like maybe 5 feet max. You could again, it benefits from it being prefabricated, kind of becomes like a centerpiece on a building. And then the next page. This is where kind of overlaps with the evaporative cooling, rain tax avoidance type of situation where you can utilize that water that comes from the clouds. Yeah, and there's a bunch of benefit there because you have the efficiency of a ground source heat pump, but you have the endless thermal reservoir of air. Because when it comes to ground source heat pumps, if it's year after year, you're in an area that needs more cooling, for example, every year that ground would just get a little bit hotter because you're not giving it that time to kind of reprieve. And as it gets hotter, its ability to absorb more heat reduces. But we kill that just by evaporating it to the air. And then there are some economics there, five-year payback period. And of course, the designs, we do meet all the ASME, CSA, whatnot.
Does AI need the power or does AI need the cooling? Both. Eh? So you could put these internally and not even go in the ground, right, Andrea? You think it's basically that elevator shaft idea is a very interesting one.
Yeah.
In terms of its ability to be the windmill. Obviously, you got to get it above the roof.
Yeah.
Chad's a windmill expert. He's here for the next little while. Chad, are you doing any windmills, or is it pretty rare that you do a windmill?
Yeah, I'm doing one up in North Bay here soon. I gotta put it. It's just going to be 40 feet tall.
And so it's going to be not a vertical access, or is it going to be the vertical access is the blades we're looking at now? Would it be more of a prop? Like,
Yeah, no, it's horizontal.
You call that horizontal?
Yeah.
And it's a skinny pole. Like, can you buy those commercially?
it's a guy out of Missouri, out of the States, is all we're using right now. There's not too many options for wind turbines that are worthwhile looking at. So
I was told the best wind turbine was the Rise, RYSE, in its class for 10 kilowatt or 20 kilowatt. You can scale those up a little bit, but they're big I call them airplane blades, but like a prop. Would you call it a prop? Brian, right here, this is a vertical access. That's what I had at my place. I took it down. Now it's a road ornament. It's basically, I put a sign on it. Coming soon, FeGeo Wind 2.0. It gets a lot of attention. A lot of people comment on it.
100%. Now, what's the difference between having it that way versus the propeller prop kind that we see the big ones that our government has invested in? What's the difference between having something like that and then the other way? Is there any difference, or?
I think they're both generating. There isn't a lot of difference. Chad, maybe you can help explain, the government program generated electricity and was a FIT program, I think. But what Chad's working on, I think, would be somebody who wants to be off grid. Chad, would you say?
yeah, it's already all my sites are off grid.
Is it a
But
minute?
the vertical wind turbine is a cosmetic thing, really, and it's just for appealing eye.
You mean the one?
They're both just as good, one or the other?
No.
Right? Because the propeller, it feels like it has to face the wind, where this kind seems like no matter where the wind's blowing, it's going to turn. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's just they're a little bit more money, and they need to be a lot bigger because not each blade's catching wind at the same time compared to a horizontal.
Is that what picture in the right we're looking at now? Would you call that horizontal? No.
No,
Vertical.
that's
Vertical access, they call that, right?
Mm-hmm.
well, a vertical. Only one of those blades is really capturing wind
At
Yeah.
a time, because it's spinning.
Yeah. So compared to a horizontal where all three are capturing wind at a moment, they're literally just a cosmetic thing, like the appealing eye. So it comes down to a dollar amount, really. You pay more for that turbine, like you really
What
do.
about how about in the winter? We get a lot of snow. Is it going to get stuck up there? Is it going to sit on that? Is it going to freeze it?
No more than any other turbine.
Yeah.
That's the same in any class of turbine.
I guess if it's always spinning, it doesn't have a chance to freeze.
Freezing rain is the only thing, and it'll affect anything that's out there. So freezing rain will literally take the aerodynamics out of the blade and completely disable it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But that happens with any turbine. So
Yeah. And these turbines, I'm sure they're hooked up to some kind of batteries and stuff for a backup or charging as well. Like,
well, either way, it could be grid interactive or a battery charger. Yeah,
depending on how it's set up, right? You can do both.
on the use of it, yes.
Mhm.
So it depends on what you're doing and what you want to do. So
And the very last page is at Martin's location. It shows it in action, and yeah, that's it basically doesn't have a lot of
Oh yeah.
There
lot
it
of
is right
noise.
there. That's the one.
Mhm.
So the FeGeo Wind got me the second patent. There's never been a windmill supported by a geothermal.
Mhm.
So that's a pretty tight. I think to go back to what I was saying, my geothermal is truly unique. These windmills are somewhat of a commodity. I just happen to have a windmill that's supported by a geothermal. But the
And would that
FeBTU,
does that power your whole place?
it would conceivably if it was balanced. Yeah, I mean it's all about getting I have solar curves on my building. It's all about getting the internal electrical correct.
Mhm.
Chad, do you think we can get to the point where I can get completely off grid if I put a proper windmill up there?
Well, of
Like-
course.
Of
Yes.
course, would I need more batteries? I just need more interconnecting panels. Because I have two hydro accounts. I finally got rid of my hydro account ending at 7 by giving it to my tenant, the new tenant that showed up, and then and they're paying that, but I still have a little bit of a bill on my 9 hydro account 9. I'm sure I can get rid of it if I get this new windmill from Mateo. He's got it designed.
Now, here's a question I have, and I'm glad that you guys are all here because you guys will be able to give me the answer. Because I see that it's round and it spins, instead of having wind, like something to catch wind and have to like you're dependent on the wind. If it's a windy day, you'll get electricity. If there's no wind, you don't get electricity. What if, because it's round, what if you set up magnets inside that would make it spin automatically?
Well, interesting enough,
Boom! Boom!
Brian, that's actually how it works. Like inside
Okay.
the hub there's a
Yeah.
motor,
Yeah.
and we machine the motor and put high pole magnets in it. So once it goes a little bit, it goes
It'll keep
quicker.
going.
Yeah, it'll go quicker. Yeah.
So
Or there could-
you're suggesting perpetual motion there is what I
Correct.
picked up.
Correct. Yeah. I don't know the words. I just
That's a whole different ballgame, guy.
right. And then couldn't you use the power that you're generating from it to power to give the magnets more power by powering the magnets and actually make it, a self-recycling system that actually generates more on its own.
You will lose the energy you just gained in the battery when you do that, unfortunately. But I mean, that's one way to keep it going forever. A motor that's a generator that you reverse becomes a motor, and a motor that you reverse becomes a generator. So you're either inputting mechanical energy, converting it to electrical, or if you use electrical energy to convert it to mechanical, you're using up that electrical energy. So
It's got to go somewhere to feed the other one. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna lose power somewhere.
guys, I do apologize. I have to drop off, but it's a pleasure. You guys are awesome. I can send you this document, or Dante can send it to the three of you, and
Yeah,
you can,
yeah, because you had the invite, so
yeah.
but
I can
that's a pretty good
send out
document.
the document to everyone. And just a heads up, we do have 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Thank
So
you.
now for news, Brian, what's new in the Brian's a laborer with Luwina.
There's so many things going on right now. We got a list. We got lists coming out that are so redacted, and the spelling mistakes are so bad. How are these people running the world? They can't even spell properly. What the heck is going on? So there's a lot of stuff. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like
Do you like Trump, Brian?
you know what? Here's the problem. Shakespeare told us a long time ago that the world is a stage and we are all merely actors, correct?
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I know everybody, it doesn't really matter who's running it. We're still paying taxes, we're still going to work. So I don't know. I think they're kind of all on the same team somehow. And there's different cliques that don't like each other, but I really don't think it's left against right or red against blue anymore. I really think it's good against evil. I really think that's the kind of world that we're living in right now. So, do I like Trump? I used to like him, but then he does a lot of crazy, he says a lot of things, and what are you going to do? Like, on the surface, there's things that he does that are good, but what's the motive behind everything? You know what I mean? What's the motive? And that's the whole thing. When I judge someone's integrity, it's like, why are they doing that? What's the motive behind it? Is he better than when Biden was there, or if Hillary Clinton would have got in? I don't know. Like, I guess, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, they thought he was going to
problem
be a
is that
business.
the whole Sleepy Joe thing, right? They did all that. He was so bad. How did this guy get so bad and just like you knew he was getting replaced one way or the other. You know what I mean? So it's a big show, and I don't really know who to believe. Um, so I think everybody has to make a decision where they stand early on, so that when they get to that point in life and it's time to choose, you already know your answer. I think that's the best way to explain stuff.
He's threatening to attack Iran, and he wants them to give up their missiles, or he's
Yeah.
going to attack them. But apparently their missiles could sink a carrier. I was listening to a podcast today. Like they could hit the
Yeah,
carrier and they go the speed of sound.
But is it fair? Is it fair for one country to have so much more power than the rest of the world?
Like
Is
the
that
US,
fair?
I mean? Like the US?
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Well, the technology in Russia and China is better.
right. And so that's the thing. You have a bunch of superpowers, and for me, if they're all on the same team, someone at the end of the day, someone's going to win, someone has to lose. So it's either the rich people winning and the middle class losing, or it's going to be one country beating another country. But at the end of the day, is it all just drama and theater? I don't know. I think some of it's
Well,
theater.
Yeah. I mean,
You
they
know?
see, I think Israel's in trouble if they attack Iran.
Yeah, and I mean, and like Putin has said that, Trump can say whatever he wants, but really when the men with the briefcases tell Trump what to do, because Putin's seen a whole bunch of different presidents come in and out, right? But the guy with the suitcase is running it. And when I say the guy with the suitcase, all the businesses, all that money that's motivating their platforms, right? That's really what's running the country. Your votes, whoever's voting for you is running.
Have you ever
So-
heard of something called reptilian? Ryan, you've heard of it.
Reptilians, yeah. Mork and Mindy, very first show that ever talked about that stuff.
Did they?
Yeah, right? Nanu. Every time at the end, he was talking to the reptilians. Like, so I don't know. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, that's why I say, like, if this is all a show, then really, is this world not really a world? It's like a big machine that we're all, it's like what's going on? So we don't know. Why can't we go to Antarctica? Like, there's all these crazy questions that the world, that I think because we're able to communicate now through the internet, I think things are starting to fall apart. Holes are starting to show in people's stories. History is not what we thought of. When I see your geothermal, well, they just did scans underneath 200 scans. I was listening to this, over 200 scans of underneath the pyramids, and now they're finding the same kind of technology underneath the pyramids, but like at a massive scale. And how was that possible if we were just hunter-gatherers, right?
Well, it's
So-
aliens, right? It's definitely
Right. Well, aliens or fallen angels or however you wanna say that. And that's what I mean. When we start talking like this, because we're so used to, Santa Claus, Adam and Eve, we heard all these stories growing up, and now we're finding these things that don't match up to our stories that we were learning as a kid. Right?
everything's
yet-
everything's a lie. Yeah.
Yeah, and yet in every culture they'll talk about a flood, right? So every culture around the world has a flood story, right? But then, modern
Mhm.
age doesn't want you to believe some of the teachings, and not everything works, but there's so much lies and so much confusion. And at the end of the day, follow the money if you want to know who's right or wrong, or follow the power. Or all of us need to stay kind of focused and not fight each other, because that's what's happening in the streets, is everybody's fighting each other. And I don't think it should be that, because we're all being manipulated by the people who, want to have everybody else in chaos.
Baby, I need to know.